God knew why I was going, but I didn't.
Okay.
My initial thought was, if I could take my daughter to Rwanda and she could begin to see how fortunate she was, it might lift her out of her depression, make her feel better. That was a very naive way of thinking about it. What really happened, Bob, is that before she went, I said, you need to pay for this trip. She said, how am I going to do that? I said, I want you to volunteer at Legacy Mission Village, the refugee ministry that our friends at Mazzaro had started. And the first time she went because I made her. And the next 1,000 times she went because she wanted to.
Wow.
Because she would tell us later that she viewed herself as worthless, that she had no value, she had nothing to give. And yet, the first day she went, she connected with those kids. William would later say you could tell her pain connected her to the pain of the kids that she was working with. But she said every day I'd go back, they'd say, we love you, Miss Andrew. We're so glad you're here. And she started realizing if those kids love me and they want me here, I do have something to give. And that's when the light bulb came on that, you know what, my life can have meaning. And that really built up the stage for us to go to Rwanda. And then when we went there, we met Amahosa, we learned them. And more than that, we learned the story of the Mazzeras and how they had escaped the genocide, how they had lost every physical possession they ever had. And yet they found their own redemption and taken the pain of that and turned it to their passion of serving others. And I think it was the modeling of that behavior that made my daughter realize I can take this pain and make it my passion. And indeed, it became her passion because she moved to Kenya after she did more mission trips. She moved to Kenya after her senior year of college, and she's been living in Kenya for 7 years in the mission field.
Wow. So, Randy, you just updated us on your daughter. So give us an idea about how this story, you mentioned the documentary 2014,
right.
The film came in 2018.
And now
you have the book. So as you look back, having told this story, having lived it, having experienced it, what would you say that the greatest evidence of God's hand would be as a result of the intertwining of these three families,
sure.
These stories?
Well, first I'd say it is the healing of my own family along with the Mazzaro family. Because, you know, one of the things that we all can get in those dark places and feel like God's abandoned us. But if you look at the Bible, God has taken broken people throughout the Bible and used them to be his best messengers. And so on the one hand, we were all saved and redeemed, and our broken pieces were put back together by him. The other thing I'd say is I did this story because we all spend our lives hiding our scars, especially I think in these days of social media and Facebook. We want to put pretty vacations and how good our kids doing in school. It's as if none of us are scarred. And yet I think back to the Bible when after Jesus' resurrection, what's the first thing he did when he saw the disciples? He showed them his scars. Not to remind him of the pain, but to tell them of the victory over it. And so the reason we did the documentary and then the movie and now the book is I want people to see there is a victory over their pain. That the chapter they're in might be broken, but the title of the book can still be beautifully broken. You know, they might be in a chapter of their lives that they feel trapped, but that's not the end of the story. And if they've got God to lean into and to carry them through it, they can write their own ending so that the victim can become victorious and their mess can be their message.
Well, and there might be a tendency when someone is experiencing brokenness to just hold back, wait to get better, wait for things to get better, wait for God's healing to be manifested before you go out and try to be used of God in various situations. What your story is evidence of is the fact that you didn't wait. You were willing to allow God to do his work, to lead you all the way to Rwanda, and actually you ended up helping to provide a redemptive element to a family in Rwanda while your family, as you mentioned, was falling apart. If you just wait and say, we're going to stay home till things get better, then who knows if any of these stories would have come to be.
And you hit a great point there, because I think so many times when you're in that pit of that darkness, you feel like you might even be abandoned. And what I've learned is you're not abandoned. If you feel that way, simply God's gone before you and he's laying a path that you can't yet see. But you can't sit still. You do have to fight forward with it. And if you will fight forward and trust God in those moments. And we don't do it alone. Let me tell you, counselors and the church and other people, your friends, your family, they can all help you in that journey. But all I would say is trust that God has a plan and don't sit still. Go seek the plan. Don't wait for the plan to come find you.